There has always been a modest hum around Falcon's flight regarding its potential design flaws and problems with its location and environment ever since the coaster's official announcement. After all, no coaster has come remotely close to what this coaster will achieve. It's shattering the height record, the length record, and the speed record simultaneously. But I believe the biggest flaw of this coaster lies in Saudi Arabia's financial position and the context of this roller coaster. Falcon's flight will fail, but it doesn't really matter. If you had unlimited money and could design any roller coaster to your own liking, you'd make it the world's largest, right? Meet Falcon's flight. This coaster is special, obviously for a lot of reasons, like its size, its layout, its drop, but also because of its origin. Unlike the traditional roller coaster, Falcon's flight is fully funded by the Saudi Arabian government, which means unlike traditional coasters that are designed with the intent to try and generate as much profit as possible, Falcon's flight is designed to serve a country. On the surface level, the difference between the two may not seem too drastic. You may even feel the government-funded coaster would be more likely to succeed compared to the coaster funded by investors. But in reality, it's the complete opposite. You see, the thing with the government-run coaster is that it doesn't necessarily need to make money to succeed. You may be like, are you saying governments don't always revolve around money? And well, no, that's not what I'm saying here. Saudi Arabia seeks a profit in the bigger picture. It's just the revenue Falcon's flight may or may not generate is not significant enough to even concern this bigger picture. Their government's financial lens expands way beyond this one coaster. The reality is that Falcon's flight is insignificant to Saudi Arabia financially. What actually matters to Saudi Arabia is Saudi Vision 2030, a government-run project designed to drastically improve the country's economy by the end of the decade. The 5 giga-projects that resemble it, these trillion-dollar city-sized projects that will permanently impact this country and the world. NEOM and its 10 regions that make the most futuristic video game societies seem mundane. Literal fantasies they're bringing to life. This is what matters to Saudi Arabia financially. Falcon's flight is just a small piece in that. So, understanding this, I believe the main significance Falcon's flight holds to Saudi Arabia, the primary purpose of this coaster, is not profit, but rather the intangible asset, or the value, of quote-unquote street cred. The value in holding such an attractive list of records under their name. The value in beating their neighboring country, the UAE, home to Formula Rossa, in the amusement park category in their economic rivalry. The value of having such a stunning structure in the skyline and the atmosphere that creates for visitors as they roam Qiddiya city. These values are way more important to Saudi Arabia than actually generating a direct profit from this coaster. And how does that affect us riders? Well, the problem with this is that, thus profit not being the purpose, Falcon's flight doesn't necessarily need to operate to fulfill its purpose. You see, the records, the stunning structure, all that is important to them will still be at play even when the coaster itself is not running. Which ultimately means how often the coaster runs, how much maintenance downtime this coaster could face, could have not been a factor when the coaster was being designed. This leads to me theorizing that this coaster was never created with the intent to operate full-time in the first place, but rather with the intent to be a stunning, record-breaking structure. I think this is pretty evident from Falcon's flight's layout. Remember when I asked you rhetorically what kind of roller coaster you would design if you had unlimited money, and I assumed you would make it the world's largest? Well, how maintainable do you think that coaster would be? Exactly. And Saudi Arabia essentially has unlimited money to spend in the tourism industry, so Falcon's flight is this very scenario brought to life. The layout of this coaster seems to focus on obtaining these ridiculous records rather than the maintainability of the actual roller coaster. For example, the use of an LSM boost at the bottom of the drop that is necessary for the coaster to hit that record-breaking maximum speed, and possibly for it making it over that massive airtime hill that follows. And also the height being combined with the track length, which is extra ambitious together, considering the amount of trouble Kingda Ka and Top Thrill Dragster / Top Thrill 2 / Top Thrill 3 maybe face with a track length that is less than 1/4 the length of Falcon's flight. So ultimately, Saudi Arabia gave Falcon's flight a disastrously problematic layout, not in a hazardous for riders way, but in a way that will make this coaster a maintenance nightmare. But hey, even if this coaster is standing but not operating, it doesn't really matter in the eyes of Saudi Arabia, whose budget is way above the world's largest roller coaster, as long as the records stick, the rivaling countries envy them, and the structure looks nice. This is what happens when a wealthy monarch country decides to spread its unhinged ambitions into the coaster industry. Enjoy it, if you somehow get to ride it. Of course, this is just my theory on the coaster. Who knows, maybe with the help of Intamin's designing capabilities and a couple of technical successes, this coaster will operate a long and fulfilling lifespan. Either way, the fact that this mammoth of a coaster actually exists is surprising and quite exhilarating. You have now reached the end of the video. Wake up, it's time for you to get your head out the coasters and return back to the real world. Or you can hit subscribe, crack a cold one, and watch this video right over here.